first thing you're going to do is make your clay already into a long coil-like structure. So I do that by squeezing it between my hands to make it into essentially a long rope. Not the whole thing, no. Small part would be good. You don't want it to be much wider than your mat because you're going to roll it. So if it gets too wide, you're going to have to trim it down. Then you're going to use your hands and all your fingers, and you're going to roll back. If your clay is a little dry, you see how mine's got these little marks in it? So mine's a little bit dry. So I'm going to take... If your clay is looking a little dry like mine, you're going to spray your mat. Make sure you're using the side of your spray bottle that's like a mist as opposed to that stream. And then you can roll it back through the water. When you do that, it's going to make your clay get wet pretty quickly. So you can see already, specifically my middle section already looks a lot better. It's not so dry anymore. And you're going to keep rolling back until your clay is about the thickness of a Sharpie. Now some of you are going to end up with clay that starts to get flat, and you'll know because it'll feel like it's kind of flapping across your table. If that happens, so let's say I'm going to make this spot right here pretty flat. So you can see that's flat and wide. To make it round again, if you twist it and roll specifically that section, it's going to get round again. So you can see that's already round. If you have an area that is too thin, so I'm going to roll one area too thin, you can see that's quite thin. If you roll your hands together towards the middle or towards the thin spot, it's going to make that spot wide again. And you can twist as well to help with that process. And I'm going to keep doing that until it's the thickness that I want. You can also smooth over any creases with your finger. So I showed you how to fix a flat coil. I showed you how to fix a thin coil. So if your whole coil is thin, you can continue to roll in towards the center. That's going to make the whole coil get a little bit wider. In addition to that, I showed you how to roll back. That's another way to make consistent coils, is rolling back every time, keeping that pressure even. The next thing you want to know is how to cut your coil. And this is a specific way because you want to make sure that the coil stays round. If you just cut or trim by pressing down, what happens is you end up with an oval coil, which we don't want. We want it to be round. We want it to stay round. So to keep it round when you're cutting, what you're going to do first, I'm going to make that side the right thickness. So now this coil on this side is pretty even, but I do need to trim it. So I'm going to roll to cut. So I'm going to roll to cut one side. And when you do that, it's going to stay pretty round. Do you guys see the difference? It's a lot better. So then I need to measure. And my ruler has disappeared as well. Some of your rulers are a little bit different, so make sure you pay attention to the measurements. So mine goes to the end of the ruler, so I'm going to line it up, find 8 inches, and again, roll to cut. Then I'm just going to double check. That is 8 inches, and put it off to the side and start working on my second coil. This is going to be my second one. Now this one I'm going to have to be more careful when I cut it, when I trim it, because it's a little bit on the short side. And if your coil feels kind of dry like mine does, you may want to just spray your mat and roll it through so that you can make it wet, because we are going to be using these to build a miniature coil pot. So you're going to want to make sure that they stay wet. And you can check the thickness with your Sharpie. This is about the thickness that you want. You want it to be close to your Sharpie size. And again, I'm going to trim it down just a little bit using my fettling knife and rolling to cut. Measure out 8 inches. Again, roll to cut. Now I've got 2. And you're going to keep doing this until you have 6 coils. Okay, when you are finished, you're going to lay out your 6 coils next to your ruler, and you're going to take a picture. You're going to upload this to the assignment. It should be 3A, rolled coils. Once you're done, then you're going to wrap it up in your bag like a burrito. You're going to take the end of your bag, this is the closed end. You're going to wrap around the first coil, place the next coil down beside that one, wrap around the 2 coils, the next one down, 3 coils, 4 coils, 5 coils, 6 coils. Then you're going to burrito it. You're going to wrap up the sides. You're going to turn underneath the bag. And when you put it on your shelf, you're going to place it down so that the ends are underneath so it cannot come unraveled. If you do it properly, your clay should stay wet for a very long time.